Hey all, Hawk and Carlton at Carlton Carnivores here again with another video for you guys. Had another opportunistically blooming plant, so I had to take a chance to get a video of it. So today we're actually visiting yet another orchid that I have managed to get going in the Highland tent down here. And this plant is Habenaria repens, also known as the water spider orchid. A lot of people might be familiar with its perhaps more famous relative, Habenaria radiata, or the egret flower. These guys are a native North American species, unlike radiata. They can be found from North Carolina down through Florida and then east into Texas and Arkansas. West into Texas and Arkansas. And then also are reported down through the West Indies, through Mexico and Central America, and even several different varieties in South America. Although some people split the South American forms, at least further south, into other species at times. So this is an orchid that has a rather interesting habitat. Unlike most orchids that we're familiar with that are either epiphytes or terrestrials, this is a species that is actually adapted to literally grow in swamps aquatically. It can grow terrestrially, which is more or less how I've done it, but prefers at least being a very, very wet terrestrial, and will often grow completely aquatically, even developing mats of vegetation just floating on water. So this is actually a species where if you have a habit of overwatering plants, this might be the one for you, because it's just about impossible to overwater this water-loving plant. These guys grow as kind of lanky stems reaching up to 1 to 2 feet tall. The longest lanceolate leaves will be down at the bottom of the stem, getting shorter as it goes up until it reaches the spike of flowers at the top. These plants, when they bloom, and it can be almost any time of year, especially if you have a tropical form, they will produce an inflorescence that may have anywhere from 10 to over 50 flowers at a time, opening from the bottom up. These flowers are very small, delicate, barely even an inch across at most, and are called water spider orchids because of the shape that the petals take on. Once this plant opens up, it has a long spur in the back that holds nectar for attracting moths, and then the petals in the front split out into filamentous tips that look almost like the flailing arms of a small white spider. And I've actually tested this a bit. They actually do release an aroma. It gets stronger at night, kind of floral, vegetation-like to almost like vanilla is what they'll smell like, and that goes out to attract moths for pollination. When the moths stick their heads into the flower, sending their proboscis down the spur to get the nectar, the pollinia, which have the pollen, which are inside kind of that top hood on the flower, get stuck to the head of the moth, which then moves over to the next flower and transfers the pollinia to the stigmas and pollinates the flowers. Now, like a lot of orchids, these guys produce very small seeds, dust-like, so they're very good at spreading about, wind or water dispersed, but they don't have a lot of nutrients within themselves to actually germinate and grow like most seeds do. Like most orchids, they rely on some sort of mycorrhizal association, fungus, to actually hook up with them and give the seeds the energy they need to sprout. And then in turn, once the plant gets mature like this, it will send some of its photosynthetic products to the fungi to help it grow. So if this is a species that you would like to grow, again, it's really easy to grow because not only do they love wet soils, you can see it dripping out the bottom here where the roots are coming out, but they also spread via kind of underground rhizomes from the roots. So you will get plants that just kind of sprout up everywhere in thick colonies and mats over time. Grow them, honestly, you could grow them in a pool of distilled pure water, or you can put them into like a peaty perlite mix. Always keep it really wet. and fairly well lit. These guys don't really like it too shady, although they can tolerate a fair amount of shade. They kind of have to, being shaded out by all the pictures that are in here, because they sit down near the bottom. But they tend to prefer fairly high lighting, and the brighter it is, also sometimes the taller you will see them get. Regular fertilizer every couple of weeks, very dilute orchid fertilizer is great for these guys. And then if you want to divide them, you just kind of pull the different portions of the stolons out of the soil and move them into new pots. Or if you're good at propagating via seed, I have been given a reference that supposedly you can use decaying cardboard to get the seeds to sprout because the fungi that live on it really work. I have not found a reference yet to actually confirm that, but perhaps it is an easier method than actually trying to find the particular mycorrhizae that these guys like, or going the in vitro TC, tissue culture route, which I have also not succeeded with yet, but that's always a challenge that you can try. And hopefully sometime within the near future, as these guys spread, I might have a few of them available for sale. So that's about all that I've got for that plant. Again, another kind of lesser known of our native orchids, but a beautiful plant when you look up close nonetheless. If you'd like to see more videos, if you have a suggestion on a particular species you'd like to see, or a general group of plants, or if there's something about care that you might want to go over, feel free to leave a comment down below or contact me through the website. And again, I'd like to thank my patrons, the supporters that I have, because their support helps me carve out time to make videos like this. If you would like to support, you can find us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/hcarlton. If you'd like to contact me, if you'd like to see what we have in the shop, again, purchases of some of the plants also helps support making of these videos. You can find that at carltoncarnivores.com. Visit the database where I have files of all the different carnivorous plants and reptiles, and hope to expand to some of the other novelties like the orchid that we covered today. If you have a suggestion for a file that should go into the database a little earlier, feel free to drop a comment as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure to share the videos with others, because the more views that we get, the better supported the channel is as well. And until next time, I'm Hawken Carlton, and this is Carlton Carnivores.